Hey everybody, welcome back. We're kind of talking about like Series 2. We're kind of talking about a Regulation C. We're kind of talking about like Scarlet Violet VGC in general. Um, it's kind of gonna be a funky video where I'm just gonna like talk about stuff, and if that's okay with you, that's okay with me. Like don't even look at the screen. Just like stick your headphones in, chill, listen while you're walking or something. I've been gone for a few days. I went on a little vacation for my 6th year wedding anniversary with my wife. It was nice. I had fun. Thanks for asking. But I'm back. I didn't really know what to make a video about today. So today, we're kind of just going to talk about Gothitelle. Because Gothitelle is kind of great. And people have been slowly realizing this more and more over the course of Scarlet and Violet VGC. It's not personally a Pokemon that I'm very good at like using, at like trapping my opponent in with stuff they don't want to be trapped in with. I don't know, it just doesn't like mesh with my playstyle. But every time I play against it, it really forces me to play in a way that I would. It makes me play suboptimally, and I kind of have to like. It's like playing with one hand tied behind my back because I like to switch a lot. And that's part of the reason I'm not very good at using Gothitelle. But if you don't know what Gothitelle does, long story short, it has this ability Shadow Tag. It's the only Pokemon in the game right now with Shadow Tag. What Shadow Tag does is it says that your opponent can't switch unless they have Shadow Tag or they're like a Ghost type, because Ghost types can just switch, freely. They are not affected by any kind of trapping ability or move. But basically it says your opponent can switch, and right, that doesn't sound super ridiculous. But how many Pokemon out there exist where like their whole deal is they just want to switch in and out as often as possible, especially in a format like right now where the default best Intimidate Pokemon are like Arcanine and Tauros, and sometimes even a lot of these. Most of these Pokemon do not get switching moves. Sure, Squawkabilly gets like Parting Shot and I think U-Turn. Crocodile isn't really getting switching moves. Luxray might get Volt Switch. Staraptor might get U-Turn. Salamence I think gets U-Turn. Masquerain gets U-Turn. But like most people are using like Arcanine, Tauros, maybe Gyarados, and they don't get any switching moves, which means they can maybe Intimidate on lead, and if your opponent didn't, if you don't lead anything that they want to Intimidate, then Intimidate is just kind of wasted, and you can keep it on the field until you knock it out, and then it doesn't matter if your opponent can switch anymore. They can't Intimidate your stuff in the back. It's kind of like, that's just one example. Stuff like Palafin, obviously, if it can't get in and out, it can't do its job. I mean, yes, it does get Flip Turn, but how many people are really running Flip Turn on Palafin right now? It's kind of, it's like maybe like a quarter of all Palafin are running Flip Turn. It's really not that many. And it just kind of forces your opponent to play in not the way that they want to. And I would argue that the format right now is kind of like, I don't know, the way that they've set up Scarlet and Violet is really interesting. Because we're kind of in a format with the heaviest of heavy hitters, like the Paradox Pokemon and like Palafin and Baxcalibur and like Extreme Speed Span. We have like crazy hyper offensive Pokemon, right? Like Fluttermane does stupid amounts of damage. Like a lot of these Pokemon just do ridiculous amounts of damage. But we're also in a format where we have like really strong walls as well. Let me find a good example. Like Tinglu, Wo-Chien are like stupid good walls. They're not really there to do damage. They just kind of like exist on the field. King Gambit's a really offensive Pokemon, but it's really bulky. Stuff like Annihilate also exists to do damage, but it's really bulky. It's gonna be on the field for a while. Dondozo traps itself in. But if you can, this is what Gothitelle does. This is one of the things that Gothitelle does. If you can trap your opponent in, like for example, if you're playing Tinglu, Wo-Chien, or one of something like that, if you can trap your opponent in against Wo-Chien, and the two things in front of Wo-Chien can't knock it out, it can literally just set up Leech Seed and knock them out with just Leech Seed, because they can't switch, they can't do anything about it. And similarly, like, this applies to like Garganical. It applies to like toxic like stuff with Glamora is really popular on Gothitelle teams. It applies to all of these things. And like it feels like we have more status conditions that do damage being thrown around now than ever. And that's really good for Gothitelle, because Gothitelle says your opponent can't switch, they can't get rid of the status condition. That's super big. And the other thing is that we have a lot of really offensive Pokemon on the flip side of that. So you could lead, you know, Gothitelle with your Specs Fluttermane, and if your opponent didn't lead for Fluttermane, well, then they're just going to lose 2 Pokemon probably, because they can't do anything about it. It's just so interesting thinking about Gothitelle. Like, I know it probably sounds like I'm rambling, and honestly, I kind of feel like I'm rambling. But especially going into Regulation C, where we're going to have even more walls and even more really offensive Pokemon, like Chi-Yu and Chien-Pao do disgusting amounts of damage. This has 135 special attack, and it lowers the special defense of all other Pokemon on the field. This is like Fluttermane, but it does even more damage, and you can lead it with Fluttermane. Like Gothitelle, Chi-Yu, Fluttermane is just a thing. You could run all 3 of those Pokemon on a team, and it works. And if your opponent isn't going to lead for Chi-Yu, you lead Chi-Yu Gothitelle, and they can't do anything about it. If your opponent isn't going to lead for Fluttermane, you lead Gothitelle Fluttermane, and they can't do anything about it. They can't switch. They can't, like, position better. If they can't really deal with either, you just lead them together, and you know, absolutely destroy things because it's a busted combo. Very similarly with Chien-Pao, I mean, it only has 120 attack, but that's pretty good, and it lowers the defense of all of their Pokemon on the field. Leading Chien-Pao with, like, Dragonite's super good because you get that really, really stupid strong extreme speed. But Chien-Pao is just good with any physical attacker. You can run it with Great Tusk. You could run it with Iron Treads if you want, which I really think Iron Treads is low-key slept on. Expect maybe an Iron Treads video at some point in the future. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know. It just feels like we have a lot of really offensive Pokemon, really defensive Pokemon, and they both really like to have Gothitelle. In fact, I can bring receipts. Gothitelle, and I can't tell you how many of the last few regionals it's won, but it won the most recent regional, and this is like... Sorry. This is straight up a pretty offensive team. Like, Gothitelle plus Fluttermane. You have Gothitelle plus Iron Bundle. Gothitelle plus Tyranitar is pretty offensive. I don't know really what they're running. It was Assault Vest. That's also a wall. If you can't break the Tyranitar, it's very hard to get around a Tyranitar. Tyranitars are stupidly bulky right now. Let's see here if I can find out what other regionals. Hold on, give me a second. Let me get... Let's see here. That's Charlotte. St. Paul. That's Charlotte again. Okay. I'm sorry. I should have upped more receipts. Okay. Wow. What won Natal? No Gothitelle. There's a Gothitelle in top 8. Gothitelle 5th place. That's pretty decent. I mean, Vancouver. I didn't get to watch all of the regionals, so no Gothitelle's in top 8. That's really surprising. Probably just people weren't bringing it. But it does, I mean, it's not like a more recent thing. Like, obviously, Wolfie Glick went with Gothitelle, but it was a Parish Trap team, so, like, he has to run Gothitelle. But I think it might also just be that people more and more are realizing how strong this Pokemon is. And if you are a good player and you can use Gothitelle effectively, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice from not including it on your team. Like, if you just need a 6th Pokemon and you don't know what it should be, you could just throw Gothitelle on there. And honestly, 9 times out of 10, it'd be fine. And it has a crazy amount of, like, utility. It gets Fake Out, which is, like, really good. It gets Hypnosis for emergencies, or you can run it with, like, Sandy Shock, something like that. It gets Helping Hand. It gets Heal Pulse. You get Taunt, which is super good. The one that just won the Charlotte Regional was running Taunt and Thunder Wave, which is insane. Never would I ever have thought I need to run Thunder Wave on my Gothitelle, but it's just a really interesting form of speed control that you can have access to. It gets Trick Room for either setting your own Trick Room or like reversing Trick Room. If you really want, you can run like Flatter, which is funny. Play Nice is also very funny. Tickle is a very funny move that we've seen used on Gothitelle in the past. I don't know. It's just, it's such an interesting Pokemon. And I mean, honestly, there's a reason that it was banned from a lot of like Spike Myth Cup tournaments. Like a lot of people who were running like grassroots Spike Myth Cup tournaments, there were two Pokemon they banned. They banned Gothitelle and they banned Urshifu. And now we're essentially in a very similar kind of position to Spike Myth Cup. I mean, albeit we have a lot more aggressive Pokemon and a lot more Wally Pokemon than we did in actual Spike Myth Cup. But essentially, we're in a very similar kind of position to Spike Myth Cup, where there's no Dynamax. Yeah, there's Terastallization, but Terastallization is a lot less. It doesn't counter Shadow Tag as well as Dynamax does, because you can just Dynamax and knock out the Gothitelle even through Protect. Whereas Terastallization, yeah, you get a damage boost, but it's not like I'm going to get a damage boost and KO this Gothitelle even if it decides to Protect and it can't fake me out or anything. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. It's just really good. And it makes me kind of scared, because Gothitelle doesn't have like the best stats. Like, these are fine stats. It's pretty bulky. But what would happen if we got like a good Pokemon with Shadow Tag? What if, hear me out. What if like something really dumb, like something with like Ting Lu levels of bulk? I mean, obviously Ting Lu is helped a lot by its ability, but like 155 HP, 125 defense, 80 special defense is really bulky even before you bring in. What if something with Ting Lu's stats got Shadow Tag? How in trouble would we be? This ability is honestly really like busted, and we're kind of lucky that the best Pokemon that has it is Gothitelle. I mean, yeah, we had Mega Gengar, but obviously Mega Gengar is not coming back anytime soon. Having Perish Song and Shadow Tag of the same Pokemon is very silly. But yeah, I don't know. It just stuff I was thinking about. I just wanted to talk about my thoughts. Shadow Tag, maybe I haven't said anything meaningful, but the long story short, Gothitelle and Shadow Tag are like really good. And if you're the kind of person who wants to like play, I want to trap my opponent in and not let them do things that they want to do, it's really something that's worth considering. Like I said, I've not been good at that sort of play style. Like, it's not really my thing. Perish Song is fine because it's like an alternate win condition, but trying to guess what my opponent's going to lead like perfectly and trap them with something they don't want to face is really hard, and I'm not super great at it. But yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts. Like I said, maybe I've failed to say anything substantial, but what are your thoughts? What do you guys think about Gothitelle? Do you think it's too good? I don't think it's too good, maybe, but it's really good. And as I've been playing more and more like games on Showdown for Regulation C, I've been seeing the Gothitelle more and more. And if you don't like Gothitelle, I'm sorry, but like I said, especially in Regulation C, it's going to be coming around more and more frequently, and I really feel like you got to be ready for it. I've started running Life Orb in my Caesar so that I can actually knock it out with like U-turn or like, you know, whatever. It just, you know. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. If you like the video, guys, leave me that big fat like. Let me know what you'd like to see in the next one. If you're all the way here at the end of the video and you're not subscribed, do me a favor and just subscribe. Be an AndyLa fan today. We're always trying to grow over here. And the more AndyLa fans we have, the more people who can hear my wonderful voice, I guess. I don't know. Don't subscribe for that. Just subscribe because you like me, not because you feel like everybody should see me. But, you know, I mean, it's a nice bonus, right? With that, everybody, my name's Andrew. I'll catch you guys next time.